The house is too quiet. Far too quiet. No arguments, no shouting, no shattering plates, only the ticking of the clock, driving into his skull like a blade, sinking deeper with every second. He stands in the doorway, watching her pack her suitcase, dress after dress, a blouse, heels, and she doesn't even look at him. She's leaving, going to her lover, her boss, with opportunities, and she smiles like nothing is wrong. She thinks she's won, that everything is under control now, that he's broken and will swallow the betrayal without a fight. But not this time. He says nothing. Only his fingers tighten around the doorframe. Not from pain, but from clarity. Everything changes today. She destroyed their life, but now he'll take everything she has left, with precision, no drama, ice cold, like a surgeon cutting out rot. Hello, my friend. I'm so glad you stopped by my channel. If it's your first time here, don't forget to subscribe and like this video, as every like truly inspires me. Please tell me which city and country you watch this video from. Now, let's get started. The house was too quiet, oppressively so. Only the monotonous ticking of the clock filled the space, each tick burrowing deeper into Ethan's mind like a relentless drumbeat signaling something inevitable. He stood frozen in the doorway, staring at Claire as she carefully placed folded clothes into a suitcase atop their bed. Every garment she packed was a thread from their shared past, and watching her treat them like nothing more than laundry made something twist violently in his gut. She was humming, off-key, unconcerned, like none of this mattered. To her, it was just another uneventful evening. But to Ethan, it was the moment everything broke. "What are you doing?" he asked, his voice strained and brittle, cracking under the weight of everything he wasn't saying. Claire didn't even flinch. "Packing," she said, tone devoid of emotion, like she was announcing the weather. "For what?" he asked, sharpness creeping into his words as he fought to stay calm. She paused briefly, seeming almost amused as she chose her response. "A couple's getaway," she replied lightly. "With my boss. You don't get a vote." The words hit him like a slap. "A couple's getaway?" he repeated, eyes narrowing. "You can't be serious." Claire finally looked at him, her patience already worn thin. "Dead serious. We're going to a resort. He wants to see more of me, and I want the promotion." Ethan's thoughts scrambled for footing. "What are you talking about? What do you mean, see more of you?" Her gaze was flat, tired. "I mean exactly what you think. I've been showing him how adaptable I can be. In bed, that was the condition." His breath caught in his chest. He stepped back, gripping the doorframe to stay upright. "You're sleeping with him?" Claire's shrug was maddeningly casual. "For months now, and to be blunt, he's better than you in every way that matters." Everything inside Ethan clenched. The signs had been there, late nights, secretive texts, but hearing it spelled out so plainly was something else. His voice broke as he spoke. "If you walk out of here tonight, Claire, don't expect to come back. I swear I'll—" Her laugh cut him off, cold and cutting. "Please. Our marriage died the moment I bent over his desk. You were just too clueless to see it. I've outgrown you." The words hit like a sledgehammer. He staggered, looking at the woman he'd built a life with and seeing someone else entirely. "Why?" he asked, raw and broken. "Why would you do this to us?" She didn't bother with sympathy. Tossing a pair of heels into her bag, she muttered, "Because I'm done living in this loop. You never changed. He offers ambition, passion, things you couldn't give me." The pain was nearly paralyzing, but Ethan clung to hope. "We can fix this. We can talk to someone. Don't throw everything away for some twisted power play." Her expression turned to ice. "This isn't about a fling, Ethan. It's about moving forward, about my future. And you? You're not part of that." His heart thudded in his chest, heavy and uneven. He dropped his voice, desperation seeping through. "You don't have to do this." She zipped the suitcase shut with calm finality, then moved past him without a backward glance. The scent of her perfume lingered like an echo, and then the front door opened and closed with a conclusive click. He didn't chase her. He couldn't. For a moment he stood there, untethered, like gravity had released him. But soon the numbness shifted. Something inside began to calcify. His breathing leveled. His expression hardened. "So that's how it is," he murmured, his voice low, cold steel under velvet. "All right." The ticking of the clock was louder now, relentless. But this time it didn't feel oppressive. It felt like propulsion. Ethan's thoughts focused with alarming clarity. Claire had made her decision. She'd written him off like he was nothing. She believed she had all the power, but she had no idea what that choice would cost her. When he finally moved, her car was gone, swallowed by the dark. His muscles were tight, but his mind was crystal clear. He had always been the calm one, the steady one, but not anymore. Tonight, that man was gone. He crossed the house with quiet resolve, stopping only when he reached the office. He stepped inside and shut the door behind him. The room was full of remnants from their life together, framed pictures, old awards, books. But he didn't pause to reflect. His eyes locked on the glowing screen of Claire's work laptop, and that's where he began. She had trusted him implicitly, leaving it out in the open as if it were nothing. Not once did it occur to her that he might even glance in its direction. The idea that he'd ever be curious enough to dig through it never entered her thoughts. Ethan sat still at the desk, his hands hovering just above the keyboard. He already knew the password. Predictable, really, a simple combination of their anniversary date and her favorite color. The machine gave no resistance. The screen lit up, revealing a chaotic mess of desktop shortcuts, stray files, and half-read messages. Without hesitation, Ethan launched her email application and searched for her boss's name. A flood of messages appeared, each more damning than the one before. He clicked the first. His eyes raced over the words, "Can't wait for the weekend. Got us the best suite. Finally, some time alone. Don't worry about the office, I've got it all covered." Ethan's jaw clenched. His chest tightened with a heat he couldn't contain. With a cold precision, he created a new folder on her desktop titled Personal and began dragging the emails into it one by one. Then, pulling a USB drive from his pocket, he started copying everything. Emails, documents, chat logs. This wasn't going to be a confrontation. This was going to be a reckoning. Once the transfer finished, he turned to her messaging apps. The chats were informal, laced with inside jokes, flirtatious jabs, and in some cases, graphic conversations. Ethan copied those as well, repeating the same methodical steps. When he was done, he cleaned up every trace of his presence. No evidence left behind. Everything else on the laptop remained untouched. This was only the opening move. Ethan stood and made his way toward the bedroom. Her vanity was a mess of perfume bottles, makeup kits, and jewelry scattered like forgotten treasures. He opened the top drawer and found her jewelry box. Inside were pieces he had gifted her, familiar, sentimental. But there were new additions too, ones he had never seen. A particular bracelet caught his eye. He remembered it from a photo she'd shown him weeks ago. "A gift from my boss," she'd said casually. The thought of her wearing it while in another man's arms made his blood run hot. He snatched it, along with a few more unfamiliar pieces, and slipped them into his pocket. These would be the first to vanish. She adored these ornaments, flaunted them proudly. She wouldn't notice their absence, at least not right away. And by the time she did, everything she cherished would be slipping through her fingers. He turned toward the closet. Claire's prized wardrobe, designer dresses, sleek heels, lined up with obsessive care. He reached for her go-to suitcase, the one she used for all her work trips, and began stuffing her most expensive outfits into it. He didn't fold a single piece. Instead, he crushed the fabric, forcing wrinkles and creases into the luxurious materials. She believed these clothes made her invincible, untouchable. But they were just objects, and objects could be taken. He zipped the suitcase and shoved it under the bed. She wouldn't notice until she needed it, and by then, Ethan hoped, the rest of her life would be crumbling. He stood still, eyes locked on the dark space beneath the bed. The silence of the house was oppressive, wrapping around him like a vice. His hands trembled, not just with anger, but with the weight of everything he had done. It didn't feel like vengeance. Not yet. The gravity hadn't fully sunk in, but there was no undoing it. The man he used to be, the rational, steady Ethan, was gone. What remained was someone colder, someone focused, someone shaped by betrayal and driven by a warped sense of justice. The ticking clock on the wall punctuated the stillness, each second urging him forward. As darkness fell, his thoughts crystallized. Claire needed to feel this, to understand the damage she'd done. The betrayal wasn't something she could apologize away. The only fitting response was to watch it all burn. He waited until dawn before making his next move, leaving just enough time for her to sense that something was amiss. The digital part was done. Now came the reality. With calm, practiced hands, Ethan picked up his phone and dialed a number he hadn't called in years, a lawyer from his professional circle, someone who owed him. A sleepy voice answered. "Hello? It's Ethan," he said, tone flat and cold. "I need a favor." A beat of silence. "What's going on?" "I'm filing for divorce," Ethan said, his voice unwavering, "and I want it expedited." A longer pause this time. "Are you absolutely sure? What happened?" "Just start the paperwork," he said firmly. "I'll send over the details. I want this handled quickly." "Understood," the lawyer replied. "I'll get it going." Ethan ended the call without another word. His thoughts were already several steps ahead. The divorce would be swift, but that was only part of the equation. Separation alone wouldn't suffice. There had to be consequences. Claire had built a life made of appearances, her career, her relationship, her reputation. It was all a fragile facade, and he was going to dismantle it, piece by piece. She never returned that day. Ethan stayed, putting the final pieces of his plan in place. The unraveling had already begun. What came next would finish it. That evening, his phone buzzed. A message from the lawyer. "The divorce is in motion. She'll be served within a few days." Ethan didn't need to wait. The wheels were already turning. Only one step remained. He opened his laptop, pulled up his inbox, and began composing a new email. This one was addressed to Andrew, Claire's lover, her boss. He had included it all: the incriminating emails, the flirtatious message threads, the damning photographs, every single piece of evidence that exposed the affair in full detail. The message he wrote had no anger, no passion, just cold, procedural precision, like he was filing a report, not detonating someone's life. "Andrew," the message began, "you shattered my marriage. Now it's time for yours to burn." Without a pause, Ethan pressed send. The response came within moments. Ethan didn't need to wonder long. The shockwaves were already spreading. Andrew, once hailed for his spotless conduct and professional polish, was seconds away from implosion. Ethan could see it clearly. The pandemonium erupting in Andrew's office, HR scrambling for damage control, executives huddled in quiet crisis meetings, the PR team desperately drafting statements. By midday, Ethan's phone lit up with a breaking news alert, a corporate scandal involving a high-profile executive. He didn't need to open the article. He had written the ending long before. Everything was unraveling just as he had planned. And this, Ethan knew, was only phase one. He had no intention of stopping here. The following afternoon, Claire walked through the front door. He had been waiting, not with fire, but with frost. His rage cooled into something sharper. She stepped in, exhaustion etched into her face, irritation simmering behind her eyes. But the scene before her, the glowing laptop screen, Papers spread across the table, Ethan standing rigid, made her stop short. Confusion flickered, then deepened into dread. "What's going on?" she asked, her voice low, uncertain. Ethan didn't answer. The silence hung thick between them. He stood slowly, each movement deliberate and tense. Claire straightened instinctively, sensing the shift. "Welcome back, Claire," he said at last, his voice cold and flat. "I hope your little getaway was worth it." Her eyes darted to the laptop, to the exposed documents, and then froze. Her breath caught. "What? What is all this?" she asked again, now with a crack in her voice. Still, Ethan held back. He let the stillness stretch, the silence suffocate. Then he spoke, void of emotion. "This," he said, "is the truth. Your lies, your betrayal, all of it." Her skin drained of color, and she took a half step back. Her hands trembled. "You went through my private things," she said, half in disbelief, half in protest. But beneath it all, he heard it. Fear. "I know everything," Ethan replied, voice like glass. "The late-night messages, the secret meetings, the pictures. I've seen it all." Claire's mouth opened, but no words came. Her eyes searched the room like she was hunting for an exit. "It's not what it looks like," she started, panic rising. "Isn't it?" Ethan cut her off, his voice turning sharp. "Then tell me. Tell me why you slept with your boss, why you lied to me over and over, why you threw away our life for a thrill and a promotion." She looked stunned, stricken. Her lips quivered. I didn't mean for it to go this far," she whispered. "I never wanted to hurt you." "Maybe not," Ethan said, his tone like winter. "But you did. And now it's out there. Your boss's wife has the messages. HR has the screenshots. Your friends, your parents, they've all seen what you've done." Claire reeled, her face contorting in shock and horror as the weight of it crushed her. "You had no right," she said, voice weak. "You can't just ruin my life." "I already have," Ethan said, unmoved. "And I'm not done." Claire reached toward him, her fingers trembling, her voice breaking. "Please, Ethan. We can fix this. We can try again. Don't let it end like this." He looked at her hand, at the panic behind her eyes, and for a fleeting moment, something stirred. Maybe grief, maybe the shadow of love. But then he remembered the betrayal, the lies, and it vanished. He took a step back, just out of reach. "It ended the day you chose him," he said quietly. "Not today." Claire collapsed, her knees giving out as sobs racked her body. "I was so stupid," she wept. "I thought I could have it all, my job, the affair, and still come home to you." Ethan didn't flinch. His expression didn't change. "You didn't love me," he said. "You loved the comfort I gave you, the security, the image. And when that stopped being enough, you looked for something else. And you found it." Her crying deepened, her shoulders shaking with every breath. "I'm begging you," she said through sobs. "I'll quit the job. I'll end it. Just don't leave me." But Ethan's face remained carved from stone. "It's over, Claire. The divorce is already in motion. The papers will be here tomorrow." She let out a strangled, broken sound, horror and disbelief painted across her face. "No, please, you can't." "I can," he said firmly, "and I have. You'll be served tomorrow. Pack your things and go." Claire's face contorted in heartbreak just before a raw, anguished wail escaped her throat. She crumpled to the ground, her voice quivering with desperation. "Please, don't do this," she sobbed. "I didn't mean for any of this. I'm so sorry." Ethan turned away, his back rigid with suppressed turmoil. Though her cries echoed behind him, he stood motionless, refusing to face her. "Goodbye, Claire," he said quietly, the finality in his voice stark despite its softness. 2 days later, Her world lay in ruins, exactly as Ethan had intended. From afar, he watched the destruction unfold with ruthless precision. Her reputation unraveled like thread from a fraying seam. Allies disappeared. Her family refused to answer her calls. Even Andrew, her boss and illicit lover, was swallowed by the same storm that had brought her down. They were both casualties now. And though Ethan had executed his plan with flawless intent, the satisfaction was fleeting. Alone in the dim stillness of the living room, surrounded by the ghost of their shared life, he felt only the cold sting of emptiness. Revenge, it turned out, offered little comfort. The doorbell rang, slicing through his thoughts. When he opened the door, he was met with a haunting sight. Claire, standing pale and fragile on the threshold. Her eyes, swollen and dark-rimmed, held the weight of devastation. "I didn't know where else to go," she murmured, her voice barely clinging to life. Ethan stared, unmoving. The fire that once burned inside him had dimmed, replaced by something duller, heavier. "What is it you want, Claire?" he asked, not in anger, but in exhaustion. "I just need to talk," she pleaded, her gaze searching his face for even a flicker of mercy. "Please, just listen." Without a word, he stepped aside. She lingered for a moment, then entered the space they once shared. Her eyes scanned the room like a mourner at a grave, catching glimpses of the remnants of a life long gone. Dusty photographs, untouched keepsakes. She lowered herself onto the couch opposite him, awkward and trembling. She looked nothing like the woman he once loved, her vibrance gone, her confidence hollowed out. "I know you hate me," she began, voice brittle, "and you have every reason to. I've lost everything because of what I did. I deserve that. But I swear, I never wanted to hurt you." Ethan remained still, his eyes locked on hers, unreadable. The fury had long since faded, leaving behind a quiet, relentless ache. Seeing her like this didn't heal the wound. It simply deepened the silence around it. "You broke something in me I didn't even know could break," he said finally, his words heavy with sorrow. Claire nodded, tears brimming. She wiped them away with shaking fingers. "I know," she whispered. "I can't take it back. Everything spun out of control. I thought I could manage it all, my job, the affair, and still come home to you. I was stupid and selfish." His hands clenched tightly in his lap. The betrayal still simmered beneath the surface. "You can't have everything, Claire," he said, his tone sharper now. "You made your decision. You chose him. You chose ambition over love." Her composure crumbled. She sank to the floor at his feet, clutching the fabric of his trousers as tears soaked through. "Please, Ethan," she begged. "Don't let this be the end. I'll quit my job. I'll cut all ties with him. Just don't walk away from us." He looked down at her, his expression cold and unyielding. "It's already finished," he said flatly. "The divorce is underway. The documents are being delivered." Claire gasped, as if the words had struck her physically. Her face went pale, her breath hitched. "No, you don't mean that." "I do," he replied. "I've separated the accounts. The property is divided. Whatever remains is yours to keep, but it's not much. You need to go." She folded in on herself, racked with sobs, unable to rise. But Ethan didn't flinch. He didn't speak. He didn't offer a glance. When she finally left, the quiet returned, more deafening than before. He sat in that silence, surrounded by fragments of the life they once built. His chest felt hollow, but within that void, there flickered the faintest ember. Perhaps it was peace. Or maybe it was the first trace of something resembling hope. As the door clicked shut behind Claire, Ethan came to a quiet, aching realization. Revenge hadn't given him closure. It had only cost him the final piece of himself he never intended to lose. This story has come to an end. What's your opinion? Share it in the comments, my friend. And if you like this story, check out other exciting videos on my channel. I'll say goodbye Until the next video. See you.